Good evening. I'm Armando Perez, and I'm going to be co-presenting with Helena, my colleague here. And the way we're going to do this, I'm going to cover the first three items: the big picture water resources issues, the institutional framework, lessons learned from other countries, and then Helena is going to talk about 8 priority watersheds in Cuba, with a focus on the Almendares Vento watershed in La Habana, and an island-wide preliminary assessment that was conducted with a lot of input from her students. Starting with the source water, we have some facts and figures about water use on the island. The most important thing here is to know that in certain areas of the island, there appears to be a withdrawal rate that exceeds the so-called safe yield of the body of water, which means that that can cause ecological damage to the ecology of that body of water, as well as causing saltwater intrusion from the sea in the coastal areas. We know that the water resources in Cuba are managed by the National Institute of Water Resources. What is perhaps not widely known is that there are 2 private operations of water systems in Cuba via a joint venture with a Spanish company, one in Havana and one in Varadero, which begs the question, and that is, in the future, would it make sense for Cuba to have more privatization of water and wastewater systems? For that and other institutional issues, we can take a trip around the world and look at see what lessons can we learn from other places. Now, if we start at the upper left-hand corner, we see the island of Puerto Rico. The island of Puerto Rico went through a couple of very interesting attempts for privatizing water operations. They did not work out. Ultimately, the government took the operation of the utility back. However, they incorporated, in taking the utility back, principles from the private sector, efficiency, metrics, all those things. And that is considered a successful operation now. Another interesting thing that was done in Puerto Rico was a integrated water resources plan that they did. And one of the key features of that is looking at the needs of the ecology of the bodies of water. Just because the water is there, that doesn't mean that you can take all of it for the population. There needs to be consideration for the ecology. Then we go down to the lower left-hand corner of the world map. We look at the country of Chile. Chile, by all accounts, has had a successful privatization program. And we were fortunate here, right on this campus, to be visited by a Cuban engineer who emigrated to Chile and now is one of the managers of a privatized water system in Chile. And he shared with us a lot of the lessons that he learned there. In addition to that, there's been other attempts at privatization in Latin America, and that is reported in various World Bank and Inter-American Development Bank reports. Then we jump over to the upper right-hand corner, the Eastern Europe lessons. What we need to remember is that when a country transitions from a communist economy to a market economy, people will eventually start, the economy will improve, people will have more money in their pocket. What needs to happen then is there has to be a removal of subsidies, government subsidies to the utilities, so the utilities can stand on their own. And the other thing is you need to allow the utility to raise the monthly fees or rates that they charge so that they can generate a revenue stream that then can be converted into projects that need to be done. And finally, but very importantly, technology leaps, and Pete Martinez alluded to this already. There's no sense in trying to work with existing technology that's there when we can jump over and go to the next technology level. So going back to the privatization versus efficient self-management model, which one is better? Well, it depends. And actually, the good news is that either one of them could be successful. How could either one be successful? The common elements are depoliticize the implementing agency, have a strong regulatory agency, think Nicolas alluded to those issues before. Clear performance metrics, detailed inventory of infrastructure, so there's no misunderstandings, and perhaps exchange programs with institutions like in Puerto Rico and the United States for feeding back and forth of information. Helena?